Alright everyone, it's time for Occult Literature, video number 242, Dreams and Premonitions by L.W. Rogers. Interesting figure within Theosophy. Link in the description to my edition of this work is on Amazon. There are two other links to my books blogs, Blogspot and WordPress. If you're interested in sort of the dreams and premonition stuff, I have some other stuff in the divination and academic categories. If you're interested in theosophy, a lot of that's under the spirituality header. This particular work is 90 pages long, so it's roughly, short-ish full length. And it's notable, it has a lot of anecdotes about premonitions. Like, for instance, there was a famous case involving Abraham Lincoln seeing his own death, like predicting it like the night or two before. After the quake of Messina, which was in southern Italy back at the turn of the century. Well, the prior turn of the century, of course, we're the 2020s now almost. What happened is there was a major quake. I think 80,000 or some odd people were counted as killed and a bunch more missing, basically buried up in some crevasse somewhere underneath the city. There was this one anecdotal story. This one was kind of weird, where a dude had been searching for his lover, and then he had a dream about her location, and they found her there alive and well like several days later. Very interesting tales, the anecdotes in here. So if you're interested in that side of literature, if you just want to sort of read about these individual stories of people predicting things in dreams, speaking with spirits or something, that's very much interesting. There's also a passage, persists into the modern day. The idea of remembering your dreams for the purposes of recording them and interpreting them in one way or the other. They suggest you use a dream diary. Like, as soon as you wake up, you write down your dream. And the way to do this, actually, and it does work, I practice this myself because I believe in dream interpretation in multiple ways. I use it regularly. It's helpful from an occult perspective, a strictly spiritual one. Yes, it's helpful. What you do is you simply consciously tell yourself the night before, I will remember my dream. You actively make a plan to wake up and do that. Your mind will kick in and do the rest, so that as soon as you wake up, you remember to write it down. That doesn't mean you remember the whole dream, but over time they become more vivid and more easily remembered. It can be useful. If you believe in oracles, if you believe in premonitions at all, I happen to do so because I've had premonitions about a great many things, then yes, you should definitely consider that. You don't technically have to write it down. What you can do is just have memory recall. Like, you can say, I will remember my dream, and once you wake up, I will go back over it and sort of mark what happened and remember it. I tend to do that. I don't need to have an actual physical journal for this. Some people do, though. Some people, their memories work differently. Probably easier to use the dream journal method. You write a few sentences. Chances are you don't remember the whole dream anyway, and what'll end up happening is you can then use dream interpretation. Right now, I'm working on a work called Occult Japan. This has nothing to do with this particular book. But after that is done, and it covers Shinto and stuff like that, it's very interesting work. I've actually got a dream oracle, a dream interpretation work. It's probably the longest and most in-depth that I've ever encountered, actually. It's got a weird name. I won't reveal exactly which one it is, but I use this particular work for my interpretation. What I am going to do in the future is write my own guide to dream interpretation, collating the materials from all of these other oracles, the fortune teller tradition, as well as some of the more modern stuff. Some of it also is cultural in nature, like what somebody interprets from their dreams might be different culture to culture. Keep that in mind. So this particular work is definitely right down my alley. I find theosophy to be interesting, and especially where it's talking about anything regarding dreams, fortunes, divination. That's one of my most... divination and herbalism are the two things I find most fascinating within the occult. And I guess some of the simple folklore, like the peasant traditions, sort of superstitions. But yes, again, link to my edition of this work is in the description. It's on Amazon. 90 pages, again, fleshed out fairly well. Second and third links to my books, blogs. I do highly recommend things to do with dreams. If you're interested in it, then this would be an important work. Some of the stories in there are pretty interesting as well. So even if you consider it strictly fiction, it's still an interesting read. That's about all. Peace out.